Jimmy Kimmel is back. Now what? Jimmy Kimmel is back. Happy days. Everybody's happy apart from, I'm guessing, Donald Trump, but hey-ho. Can't please everybody, Donny. The question is, though, what next? What next? Is that it? No. Is it Eckers like? If nothing else, I want you to remember this. This shows you how much power we have as consumers. We own it. It's ours. We don't buy it. They get upset. In the small space of time, we all know the reason he was taken off the air, and it was this FCC chairperson doing what he did, and it was an attack on free speech. Plain and simple, it was. My issue now is, what next? So, in the short space of time that Jimmy is taken off air, Disney, the app, the system that they use crashes. So many people tried to unsubscribe from Disney. It stopped. Everything stopped and said, hang on a minute, we can't deal with all these unsubscribers. Amazing. I find it absolutely amazing. Ultimately, the power of the dollar, the power of the pound, wherever you are, money talks. Money makes the world go round. And when you stop spending your money in places, people notice. So in the short space of time that Jimmy Kimmel was off air, a couple of days, this is what happened. Disney lost an estimated $3.8 to $4 billion. 3.8 to $4 billion. Lot of dosh. Hell of a lot of dosh. And ultimately, they lost that dosh because of us. Because we decided, actually, we don't like that. We don't like that you are pulling somebody off air because this is what Trump wants. This is what they don't like the comments. Now, I have to say, I find the entire thing ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous that a president of the United States is running his country based on who has upset him or who hasn't upset him. Rosie O'Donnell. I love that woman. But even if I didn't love that woman, it's just a car crash. So I really want to I want to try and understand, because I don't get it. I don't understand how this guy's in power. I really don't. I don't understand. And I'm a smart bloke, but I don't get it. But the other thing that struck me is that they cancelled Stephen Colbert. Now, they say that Stephen Colbert was taken off air and will be taken off air. His show's he's not been replaced. The entire thing is being cancelled. It's not making money. Now, in that respect, that sounds a much more plausible excuse than ABC and Disney when they say, well, actually, we're taking you off air because we don't like your comments. So at least Disney and ABC got it slightly right, because there's not much of an argument there, is there? That's a clear breach of free speech. First Amendment, and people didn't like it. But that, to me, then puts into question, if you are removing one person because of something they've said, their views, is that why they've removed Stephen Colbert? Now, personally, I think that's what they've done. I think they've worded it properly. You can't say you're sacking her because she's X, Y, and Z, but if you word it right, you can really get rid of... So I wonder, and once I start to wonder, that's never a good thing for anybody, to be fair. Even I admit that. But it makes you then question, doesn't it? Stephen Colbert is brilliant at what he does, but he is also a massive, massive Trump critic. And let's be clear, he criticised Biden, he criticised Obama, he criticised every administration that's been in power since he was on TV or on the other platforms he's been on. So the question then is, do we believe that's why they got rid of Colbert? Or was it purely financial? I think my thing here is it doesn't smell quite right. It doesn't quite make sense. CBS has had a late night show for, I don't know, 60 years? I mean, it's a ridiculously long time. So why would you... I don't know if I buy it. So if I don't buy it, why aren't I doing something about it? Which begs the question of all of us, I suppose, when you think about it. Because ultimately, as we've discovered with Disney and ABC, we have the power. There is power in money. Now, yes, Elon Musk, the other billionaires, even Trump, have power, and they have a lot more power individually because they have more money individually. However, when enough of us get together and say, actually, we're not doing this anymore, we have power. We have that power. That's what that is. So I then start thinking. And as I'm thinking, I start Googling and start finding things out. So I'm not convinced. I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it's not, but I'm not overly convinced at this time that they haven't cancelled Colbert because of his criticism of Trump. If they can do it to Kimmel, they can do it to anybody. And that's something that Kimmel himself said when he said, actually, no. You don't have to agree with me and my views, but the fact that you are willing to stand up for my show and my right to discuss those views is the key thing here. And that's what seems to baffle a lot of... It's very well everybody in MAGA and on the right saying, well, Trump's got these executive powers, he's got the Supreme Court in his pocket, can do what he wants. It's brilliant. You are setting a precedent. And what I don't understand is what you're then going to do when the next guy's in and it's a Democrat and you're saying, well, you can't do that. Well, hang on a minute. He did it. It was all right for him. You are setting a precedent. There's a scene in The West Wing. I know I reference that show a lot. I love that show. It's if you've never watched it, go and watch it. It's amazing. And the guy from, I can't think of his name, but the guy from Back to the Future is in it. And they've come to the White House to discuss, I think it's the Republic of Georgia, setting up this new constitution. And they keep saying to Toby, who's sat trying to sort out this new constitution with them and trying to advise them, and they've got this scholar who's the guy from, it'll come to me, usually about 3 a.m, but it'll come to me who that guy, what his name is. And he comes in, and every time they suggest something, well, you need to make sure you've got power to remove somebody if they do this, or they do, well, hang on a minute, our president wouldn't do that. But it's not about this president. It's about every president. What happens with the next guy? So, we need to start thinking about the precedents we are setting. If you can stop Kimmel talking because you don't like what he said, then you've got a problem, because then you can stop anybody talking. And this, at the minute, is during a push by the Trump administration on free speech. We are all for free speech. So I would love to hear from you. Email address at the bottom of the screen, hail@hailtalkradio.com. I'd love to hear from you on your thoughts on Colbert. But I would also suggest this. I did a quick Google. And from that quick Google, I found out that CBS is owned by Paramount, which I knew. Now, Paramount, like Disney, has an app and a service you can pay for, Paramount Plus. And it actually begs the question, if you think and you believe that Paramount and CBS have taken Colbert off the air because of the First Amendment, because of his criticism of Trump, and you think that's wrong, are you still paying for your Paramount Plus subscription? We were all quite happy when it was a clear-cut thing. We were all quite happy to say, let's cancel Disney, you're done, I'm not paying into this. To the tune of nearly $4 billion. So then I start looking at what Paramount own. Paramount own an awful lot. So you've got Paramount TV, you've got theme parks, restaurants, Paramount Shop, you've got Paramount Streaming, Paramount Plus, Flubo, Pluto, Sky, Showtime, Philo. It's got the Bet Media Group, Bet Gospel, Bet Her, Bet Jams, Bet Soul, Nickelodeon, all owned by Paramount. Awesomeness TV, never heard of it, but they own it. MTV, they own it. Comedy Central, Logo, Paramount Network, Pop, Smithsonian Channel, TV Land, VH1. I used to love VH1, by the way. But either way, they own a lot. Showtime, CBS Studios, Big Ticket, CBS News and their affiliates throughout the United States, Nickelodeon, MTV, Comedy Central. So then you've got an international version. In the United Kingdom and Australia, you've got Channel 5. They own Channel 5. 5 Star, 5 Action, 5 USA, 5 Streaming. Network 10. 10 Comedy, 10 Drama, 10 HD. Chile Vision. Telefi. I mean, the list goes on. Bet France, Game One, Nick Music. I mean, they own, Google it, seriously, they own a lot of stuff. So my question to you is, bearing in mind what has been a very clear thing about Jimmy Kimmel, my question is, have you cancelled, or are you planning to cancel and show Paramount and CBS that actually this is not okay? We're not doing this. Because to me, if they can cancel one person for criticising Trump, but before that they've cancelled somebody for financial reasons, now that may be true. But I bet they'd have bigger financial troubles if everybody cancelled Paramount Plus, don't you think? I think we need to remember, and as I said, I've got no evidence to suggest they've cancelled him for any other reason, but it sounds awfully fishy to me. Sounds fishy, and I'm not quite sure I buy it. So I've cancelled my subscription to Paramount Plus. Job done. I think we need to remind ourselves that when we stand together as a group, we have power. We have power. We can influence. Another West Wing quote. I know I'm all for the West Wing today. Never doubt that a small group of people can change the world, because it's the only thing that ever has. You are one voice and feel quite small, but actually, when you think about it, if you get enough people thinking your way and are unhappy with something and are quite willing to stand up and say, I am unhappy with something, things have to change, things happen. So, I do want to hear from you. Hail at hailtalkradio.com. I'd love to hear what you think. Do we think, and it's amazing Kimmel's back, don't get me wrong, but was he the first one, or was he the second? And will others follow? I think what Disney has been shown here is that $4 billion is a lot of money. And when people stop buying your products and going to your theme parks and your hotels and your restaurants and your movies, and people refuse to work with you, I mean, that is the most amazing thing. How many actors turned around and went, well, we're not working with you anymore. This is what you're doing, we're done. So now not only are we not buying it, but you can't make it. How many of them have done that for Stephen Colbert? He got more views, as far as I'm aware. He's almost top of the ticket. So why then? And no disrespect to Jimmy Kimmel, I watch Stephen Colbert on YouTube. We don't have him live here in the UK, but I watch him on YouTube and love it. Subscribed to it. Unsubscribed since they've cancelled him. Unsubscribed. How many unsubscribers do you need on YouTube before those CBS and Paramount decide, actually, maybe this isn't such a good idea? Perhaps it is financial reasons. Perhaps they're telling me the truth. But on the balance of probabilities, the fact that the next guy who spoke out about Trump is cancelled and then has to be reinstated because they've realised what they've made, it really does bring into question what the first guy went through. So should celebrities also be refusing to work with Paramount? Should celebrities be calling on CBS and Paramount to reinstate him? I also want, by the way, to cover in this conversation The View. I love The View. I watch The View again on YouTube. That's where I watch it. I'm getting slightly, as much as I adore Whoopi Goldberg, I think she's such a talent, but I'm getting slightly annoyed with her. And the reason for that is her word is the last word. Her word is always the right word. She's never wrong. And everybody has a view, but there is a reverence for Whoopi at that table where people do not. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not going back to the days of Meghan McCain. I mean, I have not got the strength for that. That was just... I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they went to work because that was just nasty. But what I really do want to know is why Whoopi they have this reverence, and if she says it's no, that's not how it is, this is how it is, nobody seems to disagree with her. Nobody seems to say, well, actually, no. So that's annoying me. But the other thing that gets me is nobody expected, if we're honest, we didn't. The View is owned by ABC. They were never, ever going to go on there and say, they've got rid of Kimmel. It's disgusting. They can't do this. This is because, according to sources online, The View was next because they were also critical of the president, as they were with Bush, as they were with Clinton and Obama and anybody else. What troubles me is, one, we didn't expect them to talk about it, but they should have talked about it. They should have said, actually, this has happened. We talk about everything else. We're going to talk about this. And the fact that they don't and didn't on the day it happened also suggests that their free speech, their First Amendment right, is at threat, hangs in the balance. Because the minute if they'd said on the first day, this is outrageous, it's an attack on free speech, and there's not a doubt in my mind that show would have been off the air and they'd have been out the door like that. Not a doubt in my mind. And the reason I think that is because they didn't do it. They didn't do it. They didn't discuss it. Then when they finally did discuss it after his comeback, they don't discuss Kimmel. They don't discuss him like everybody else did. They discuss the First Amendment issue. Well, they discuss the FCC chair. Well, hang on. Your network were the ones that got rid of him. You're the ones that cancelled it. The BBC in the UK is one corporation, and the BBC News is supposedly independent of BBC. They report things on BBC News about BBC. Now, you could argue either way that The View is not a news channel, but it really covers news, and but either way, there's a big hypocritical aspect here that you are quite happy to slate other networks that do things. You talked about Stephen Colbert being cancelled on the first day. He's been cancelled. It's disgusted. You were good. But when it's our network, I'm sorry, there's a double standard there, ladies, and you need to sort it. You need to sort it, because if you don't sort it, it's very clear to the rest of us that your free speech has a price. Your free speech has a price, and that's your job. Not one of you decided to say, do you know what, if this is what you're doing, I don't want to work for this network. How many other actors and film studios and directors and producers and all the rest of it said, if you do this, we're not working with you because we value the First Amendment? There was hundreds signed letters. Meryl Streep, they were all there. But the Views hosts were all there. Still at work. Not one of them. Strong ladies of the View. Strong ladies of the View. Listen, we do this, we can talk, we can discuss. Yeah, but we're not going to put our money where our mouth is. We're not going to quit. No. And they say we can't discuss it because we can't even discuss why we're... Seriously? Where is that line? Where is the moral line? How many people make it wrong? Is it 1? Is it 100? Is it 1,000,000? Surely wrong's wrong and right's right, regardless of how many people it affects, how many people have been sacked or how many people have been suspended or pulled off air. How many people have to have their First Amendment right? And to me, for the first time, I have a big issue with The View, other than the Meghan McCain era. I have a big issue, and my biggest issue is you weren't there. You did not put your money where your mouth was. You didn't discuss it because you'd clearly been told not to discuss it. It was the top news story everywhere. You didn't discuss it. You then showed up for work when everybody else was either cancelling subscriptions or saying, listen, we're not doing this. I wonder how many, and again, we'll never know because they're not allowed to talk about it, how many, even did they? Did they put the resignations in and say, listen, if you haven't sorted this out by Friday, we're done. I'm leaving. Contracts or not, I'm done. We'll never know. What we do know is what we see, and what we see is you didn't discuss it and you were still sat there. And then 3 days, 4 days later, when he's back, you then said, did you really think we weren't going to talk about it? Really, Whoopi? Really? You were quite happy to sit there and say that? Did you really think we won't get to this? Like there's a million of the... you talk about crap at the end of the show. Or you're selling stuff on View Your Deal. There is plenty of opportunity for you to discuss Kimmel. He was the number one story and you did nothing. Did you really think we weren't going to discuss it? Yeah, we did. We really did, because then you didn't discuss it, did you? Come on, Whoops. Let's be fair. As much as I admire your talent and you as a person, you got this so wrong. Seriously. So, with all that in mind, I want your views. I want to know what you think. I want to know what you think about the Colbert and Kimmel situation. I want to know if you do finally believe that us as consumers have the right, we have influence, we have power when we stand together. And I want to know if you think that the Colbert situation is exactly the same, they're just calling it something else. And will this influence where you now spend your money? Hail at hailtalkradio.com. We've got some more videos coming up shortly. Winnie will be back soon as well, and we'll be discussing some more of your mental health questions and emails and things like that. But in a world that is continuing to have madness, violence, pain, suffering, whatever you want to call it, until next time, in anything, you can be anything, be kind, and God bless.